After the age of 75, life has a way of whispering in a different tone. It no longer rushes like it once did. Instead, it slows, softens, pauses just long enough for us to listen. And if we listen closely, we begin to hear things we once ignored. The creak in the knees that's more than just old age. The moment of forgetting a name that lingers a bit too long. The sudden fatigue after a walk that used to feel easy. These aren't just signs of growing older. They can be warnings. And in many cases, they're telling us something important, something urgent. You see, after the age of 75, nearly every death, 99% of them, comes down to just 5 causes. 5. And yet, most of us never hear them spoken plainly. We don't hear them in waiting rooms. We don't hear them on the news. But we must hear them now. Because when you know what to look for, you can change what's ahead. You can slow down the clock, not to chase youth again, but to protect the wisdom you've earned. You can walk steadier, breathe easier, sleep deeper, and most importantly, live longer with dignity and strength. So if you're over 60 or love someone who is, stop what you're doing for just a few moments. Sit down, turn up the volume, and truly take this in. Because the next few minutes could be the most important ones you spend this week. Before we go further, I need to ask you to do something that might just save a life. Not only yours, but someone you care about. Please click the like button and subscribe to this channel. This isn't about numbers. This is about knowledge. Every time you engage with content like this, it tells the platform to show it to others. Others who might be silently struggling with one of these 5 hidden dangers. And we will walk through each of them. Gently, truthfully. No panic. No hype. Just wisdom passed along like it always has been. Quietly, between people who care. You see, no one escapes aging. But not everyone ages wisely. The difference lies not in our genes, but in our choices. And that's what this video is really about. The choices you still can make, no matter how old you are. As someone who's seen many winters come and go, I've lost friends and neighbors to things that could have been caught early, prevented easily, or at the very least, understood better. That's why I'm speaking today, not as a doctor, not as an expert, but as someone who's lived long enough to see what happens when we stop paying attention. Because these 5 causes, they don't always come with warning bells. They often arrive quietly, like a thief in the night, disguised as something ordinary. A bit of chest tightness, a fall in the bathroom, a forgotten medication, a missed meal, a bad night's sleep, and then everything changes. But here's the heart of it. It doesn't have to end that way. You have more control than you think. And this video is not about fear. It's about freedom. The kind that comes from knowing what's coming and standing ready for it. So stay with me. You may want to grab a pen and jot things down. Or better yet, send this video to someone you love. It may feel like just another YouTube video, but to someone else, it might be a lifeline. Are you ready? Let's begin. Let's start with the one that touches nearly every family, whether they talk about it or not. Heart disease. It doesn't care if you were once a soldier, a schoolteacher, a farmer, or a businesswoman. It doesn't care if you raised 5 children or traveled the world. It visits the strong and the quiet alike. And by the time we reach 75, it becomes the most likely reason we might not wake up tomorrow. Now here's what most people get wrong. Heart disease is not a single, sudden event. It's a slow-moving shadow. It builds over decades, layer by layer, through habits that once felt harmless. A few extra pounds, a little too much salt, a skipped walk here and there, stress that never truly settles. And then one morning, you feel short of breath after tying your shoes, or your chest tightens halfway through sweeping the porch. But you brush it off because you've always been strong, right? That strength, while admirable, can sometimes turn into silence. And silence is dangerous, especially when it comes to your heart. Let me say this clearly. Chest pain is never something to ignore, but it's also not the only sign your heart might be in trouble. Watch for swelling in the ankles, irregular heartbeats, fatigue that doesn't match your level of activity, feeling dizzy when you stand up. These aren't just nuisances, they are your heart whispering for help. The good news? Even after 75, Even if you've already been told you have high blood pressure or a little blockage, you can make changes. And those changes don't have to be big, overwhelming, or uncomfortable. In fact, they begin with something simple: paying attention. Start with your morning. What do you reach for? Is it a glass of water or a second cup of coffee? Do you begin your day in calm or chaos? The heart loves rhythm, routine, and rest. Begin there. And before we go further, pause this video if you must, but please, subscribe now if you haven't already. This kind of information doesn't always make the headlines, but here, we make it personal, and we make it actionable. Now let's talk salt. For many of us, salt was once love. It came with the Sunday roast, the pickles in the pantry, the soup that warmed winter nights. But today, our hearts carry the burden. Try cutting down, just a little at a time. Season with herbs. Taste the food again, not just the salt. Your heart will thank you. And then there's movement. I don't mean running marathons. I mean rising every hour to stretch. Walking to the mailbox with intention. Gentle arm circles while watching television. The heart is a muscle. It wants to be used, not ignored. And here's something most people forget. Loneliness can weigh on the heart just as much as a poor diet. When we lose a partner or drift from friends, we may stop laughing, talking, connecting. But connection is vital, real connection. A cup of tea shared, a walk with a neighbor, a call with someone who remembers your stories. Let's not forget your medications. As we age, our bodies change, and what once worked may now need adjustment. Don't skip your checkups. Don't guess. Your doctor is not there to scold you. They're there to partner with you. Write down your symptoms. Take notes. Bring questions. Be your own advocate. Heart disease doesn't have to mean a shorter life, but it does mean a more attentive one. And I know that might sound like a burden, but it's really a blessing. It gives you a reason to honor your body each day, to choose life not just in the big moments, but in the quiet ones, the first breath of morning, the warm hands of a grandchild, the peace of sitting still and knowing you're doing your part. So I ask you again, if this message is touching something inside you, share it. Not because it's mine, but because it might be the nudge someone else needs. Share it with your children, your siblings, your neighbor down the street. The heart connects us all, and what saves one of us might save many more. Let's move to the next silent threat, the second most common reason we lose those we love after 75. Stay with me. This next one might surprise you. It's one of the quietest threats, and yet one of the deadliest. Falls. Not heart attacks, not strokes, falls. It's strange to think that something so simple, so sudden, could be the reason why so many don't make it past 75. A stumble in the bathroom, a misstep on the front porch, a loose rug, a wet tile, a missed step in the middle of the night. But it happens, every single day. And what most people don't realize is this: falling isn't just about hitting the ground. It's what happens after. A hip fracture, a long hospital stay, time away from movement, which then leads to muscle loss, confusion, infections, and slowly, the body gives up. Not all at once, but steadily. And yet, in so many cases, it's preventable. Let me say that again, because it needs to be heard clearly. Falling is not an inevitable part of aging. It is not something you must simply accept. You have the power to protect yourself, starting now. And I urge you again, if you haven't yet, please subscribe. It's more than a button. It's a signal that says, I choose to keep learning. I choose to stay here, longer, wiser, stronger. So how do we stop the falls? First, we must understand why they happen. Our balance changes with age, yes, but so does our vision, our hearing, our sense of depth, the strength in our legs, our reflexes, even the medications we take, yes, the very ones meant to help us, can increase the risk. Blood pressure meds that lower pressure too much, sleep aids that cause grogginess in the morning, pain pills that slow down reaction time. Have you reviewed your medicine cabinet lately? Have you asked your doctor, is there anything I'm taking that might make me dizzy, drowsy, or unsteady? You should. And what about your home? Do you still have throw rugs on hardwood floors? Lamps with cords snaking across walkways? Low lighting in the hall at night? These aren't quirks, they're hazards. Invest in motion sensor night lights. Install grab bars in the bathroom, not just for emergencies, but for everyday use. Move your most used items, dishes, towels, favorite sweaters, to waist level. Bending too low or reaching too high adds more risk than most people know. But perhaps the most powerful tool against falls is strength. I don't mean bulging muscles. I mean steady legs, a confident gait, the ability to rise from a chair without pushing with your hands. Can you do that? Try it. Pause this video, walk to your chair, and try standing up without your hands. It's not a trick, it's a test. If it feels hard, it's time to build those muscles back. And the best way to do that? Small, daily habits. Try standing on one leg while brushing your teeth. Rise and sit from a chair 5 times, slowly, without using your arms. Join a gentle Tai Chi or balance class at your community center. Movement is medicine, especially for stability. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Using a cane, a walker, or a handrail isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the kind of pride that says, I know my limits, and I plan to stay standing for many more years. And while we're on this topic, don't let embarrassment keep you silent. If you've fallen recently, tell someone. Your spouse, your child, your doctor. Hiding a fall doesn't make it go away. It makes the next one more likely. And now, I want you to do something simple that might help someone you love avoid their own fall. Send them this video, especially if they live alone. Especially if they've mentioned feeling a little off lately. You never know which message might be the one that changes a habit, fixes a step, or reminds someone to hold the railing. One fall can change a life, but one change, just one, can prevent the fall. Keep watching, because the third reason why many of us don't see our 80s is something even fewer people talk about. And yet, it starts in your breath. Let's take a moment to breathe together. A slow, gentle breath in. And now out. Feels good, doesn't it? Breathing is one of those things we take for granted until it gets hard. Until a simple walk to the mailbox leaves us winded. Until coughing becomes more than just a winter nuisance. Until we wake in the night, chest tight, reaching for air as if it's slipping through our fingers. Respiratory diseases, like chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and even pneumonia, are the third leading cause of death after 75. But rarely do we talk about them with the seriousness they deserve. Perhaps because it's hard to see the lungs. We don't look in the mirror and notice them aging, but they do. The lungs, after a lifetime of hard work, slowly lose elasticity. The muscles around them weaken. Tiny airways narrow. Mucus clears more slowly. And if you've ever smoked, even just in your younger years, the damage may be more advanced than you realize. But here's what I want you to know. It's never too late to start caring for your lungs. Not at 65, not at 75, not even at 90. And if you're just tuning in now, or if this is the moment it all starts to click, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Videos like this can be hard to find, but we make them because your breath matters. Your life matters. Let's talk about prevention. The air you breathe indoors is just as important as the air outside. Dust, mold, cooking fumes, even harsh cleaning chemicals. All of these irritate the lungs. Do you open your windows each day, even for just 10 minutes? Fresh air is one of nature's most gentle healers. Have you checked the filters in your air conditioner? When were they last cleaned? When we were younger, we didn't notice. But now, every particle, every breath matters. And hydration. Most people don't realize how much your lungs depend on water. When you're dehydrated, mucus thickens. It becomes harder to clear. That can lead to congestion, infection, and eventually, hospitalization. So drink your water. Not just coffee or tea. Clean, fresh water. Sip throughout the day. Set a little reminder if you must. This one small act can do more than you imagine. Now let's talk movement. You may not think of walking as lung exercise, but it is. Every time you move your body, you're asking your lungs to stretch, to expand, to stay alive and strong. Even singing helps. Hum a tune while you cook. Join a community choir. That vibration in your chest? It's health in motion. And for those with COPD, asthma, or chronic bronchitis, don't be afraid of your inhaler. Use it exactly as prescribed. Keep it nearby, and learn the early warning signs of flare-ups. Wheezing, shortness of breath, chest tightness, fatigue. These are not just discomforts, they're red flags. Vaccinations matter, too. The flu, pneumonia, even COVID-19. They aren't just for the young. They're for those who want to keep breathing fully into their 80s and beyond. And please, if you've ever smoked, speak up. Your doctor isn't there to shame you. They're there to help. Lung scans, spirometry tests, oxygen checks. These are tools that could catch something before it becomes irreversible. Now, I want you to pause and reflect. Do you ever find yourself coughing often? Needing to rest after small tasks? Feeling like you're not getting enough air? These aren't things to brush aside. These are conversations to have with your doctor, your spouse, your family. And if you're watching this because someone sent it to you, it means they care deeply. They want you to stay, to breathe beside them a little longer. So do the same. Share this video. Let someone else know that their breath is sacred, that their future still depends on every inhale they can take, deeply and freely. We still have 2 more causes to go. 2 more silent threats that, when understood, can be softened, perhaps even stopped. Don't stop now. Your life may depend on it. There's a kind of forgetting that feels like nothing. You walk into a room and forget why. You can't remember where you left the keys. You mix up a name or 2. You laugh it off, senior moment, you say. But then, there are the other moments. The recipe you've made for 30 years suddenly escapes you. You get lost on a familiar street. You can't remember what day it is, or worse, who you just spoke to. That's not just forgetfulness. That's cognitive decline, and it touches far more of us than we'd like to admit. After the age of 75, dementia, including Alzheimer's, becomes one of the most common reasons why people lose their independence and ultimately their lives. Not through a single moment of crisis, but through a slow fading of clarity, of memory, of self. And let me tell you something tender but true. Cognitive decline doesn't just happen to the person diagnosed. It happens to everyone around them. A spouse who watches their partner drift. Children who are forced into caretaking roles. Friends who stop calling because the conversations have grown too quiet. But we are not helpless in the face of it. There are things we can do, starting today, that can protect our minds, slow the decline, and in some cases, even reverse early damage. But first, please, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Videos like this are here to remind you, you are not alone, and your mind is worth fighting for. Let's talk about the brain. The brain is a living organ. It needs fuel, stimulation, rest, and challenge. Just like your heart, just like your muscles. And when it's neglected, it begins to shrink, not just in memory, but in identity. But here's what the science tells us. There is power in prevention. One of the most powerful ways to protect your brain is movement. Yes, again, movement. Walking increases blood flow to the brain. Dancing stimulates coordination and joy. Even gardening, with its rhythm and attention to detail, keeps the brain active. And what about food? Your brain feeds on fats, healthy fats, omega-3s found in salmon, walnuts, flax seeds, antioxidants from berries, spinach, dark chocolate. Even a small cup of green tea can boost mental clarity. These foods don't just nourish your body, they bathe your brain in healing compounds. And please, don't let isolation creep in unnoticed. Loneliness is fuel for cognitive decline. When we stop talking, listening, laughing, debating, we stop stimulating our minds. So call someone, join a group, share stories, play cards, start a book club, even if it's just you and one neighbor. Every connection is a spark. Now let's address something difficult. If someone you love is showing signs of memory loss, don't wait for it to get worse. Get help. There are memory screenings available, support groups, even new medications and therapies that work best when started early. And if it's you who's noticed the change, don't be afraid. Courage is not pretending everything is fine. Courage is taking that first step to say, something feels off. I want to understand why. Keep your mind sharp by learning something new every day. A new word, a short poem, a trivia fact, a new recipe. Your brain, even at 80, craves novelty. It grows when challenged. It shrinks when ignored. Let me give you a quiet piece of wisdom. Your mind is not who you are, but it is how you remember who you've been. So honor it, feed it, stretch it, and surround it with people who help keep the light on. And one more thing, please share this video. Someone you know may be struggling in silence. They may not even realize what's slipping away. A gentle nudge, a video like this, could be the wake-up call they need. There's still one more cause left. One final reason so many never make it past their 75th, 80th, or 85th birthday. And it's the one that hides in plain sight. Stay with me. The next few minutes could help you, and someone you love, hold on to hope. Let's talk now about something you don't always feel coming. Not a sharp pain, not a heavy fall, but a quiet shift in your body, subtle, sneaky, and often dismissed. I'm talking about infections, pneumonia, urinary tract infections, sepsis, and how they can become deadly, fast, after the age of 75. Most people don't realize that the immune system, the body's silent shield, grows weaker as we age. It doesn't send out alarms the way it used to. It doesn't bounce back as quickly, and in many cases, it doesn't even recognize the danger soon enough. That's why something as simple as a fever, a chill, or confusion can be a red flag, not just of discomfort, but of danger. And it's why this cause, above all, must be faced with vigilance and love. Before we dive in further, pause for a moment and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because videos like this are here to remind you that wisdom isn't just what we know, it's what we do with what we know. Now, what makes infections so deadly later in life? It's not always the infection itself, it's the delay. In younger people, the body fights back fast, but in older adults, the signs are slower, quieter, a cough that lingers, a low-grade fever that seems not serious, a bit of confusion that's blamed on being tired. And then, suddenly, it's an emergency. Pneumonia, for instance, is often called the old man's friend, not because it's gentle, but because it takes so many so quickly. It may begin with a mild cough, but within days, it can lead to hospitalization, difficulty breathing, and overwhelming fatigue. And urinary tract infections? They often don't come with pain or burning in the elderly. Instead, they show up as confusion, sudden falls, agitation. Families think it's dementia getting worse, when it's really an infection that's been brewing for days. So how do we protect ourselves? The first answer is simple: be aware. If something feels off, say something. If your loved one is acting strangely, don't assume it's just old age. Ask questions. Take notes. Go to the doctor. The second answer: strengthen the shield. You may not be able to reverse aging, but you can absolutely support your immune system. Start with sleep. 7 to 9 hours of good, uninterrupted rest helps your body reset, repair, and defend. Make your bedroom quiet, dark, and cool. Avoid screens before bed. Create a rhythm your body can trust. Then, nutrition. Your immune system is fed by what you eat. Garlic, ginger, leafy greens, yogurt with probiotics, berries, citrus. A plate filled with color is a plate filled with life. And yes, move. Again and again, we return to this truth. Gentle daily movement increases circulation, clears toxins, and activates the cells that fight infection. Whether it's a 10-minute stretch, a walk around the block, or chair yoga, movement is medicine. Let's not forget hygiene. It may seem obvious, but it's worth saying. Wash your hands regularly. Keep your living space clean. Sanitize shared items, like phones, remotes, and door handles. The world is full of invisible visitors. Don't invite them in. Vaccines matter, too. The flu shot, the shingles vaccine, the pneumonia shot, even tetanus. They're not just nice to have. They're a line of defense when your body needs backup. Ask your doctor what you're due for. Mark it on your calendar. Show up. And most importantly, stay connected. Why? Because isolation leads to neglect. People who live alone often miss the signs of infection. No one's there to notice they're sleeping more, eating less, or struggling to speak clearly. Connection saves lives. Truly. Now take a breath. Have you, or someone close to you, had an infection that seemed to come out of nowhere? Did it start as no big deal and suddenly become a hospital visit? You're not alone. And you don't have to live in fear, but you do have to live with intention. So if you found this helpful, do one thing right now. Send it. Share this video with someone who may not even realize they're at risk. A parent, a neighbor, a friend from church. You may never know the impact that one message had, but they will. We've now spoken of the 5 great dangers that claim 99% of lives after 75. But understanding them, that's only the beginning. There's one more thing you must know. Something more powerful than any pill, more enduring than any surgery. And it's waiting in the final part of this message. The conclusion. So here we are. We've walked together through the 5 quiet reasons why so many don't make it beyond 75. Heart disease, falls, breathing troubles, fading memory, infection. But I want you to understand something clearly, gently, and with all the care of one elder speaking to another. Knowing these dangers doesn't make you fragile. It makes you powerful. You see, growing older doesn't mean growing weaker. It means growing aware. And awareness is the first step toward wisdom and survival. I know many people your age who, when they hear statistics like this, feel something tighten inside their chest. A whisper of fear, a sense of, what's the use now? Or it's too late for me. But let me tell you, there is no such thing as too late when it comes to living wisely. Your body might move slower. Your memory may not be as sharp, but your influence, your presence, your choice to care, that is stronger than ever. Every decision you make, what you eat, how you move, how you connect, how you rest, each one is a signal to your body that says, I'm still here, and I still matter. And you do. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, you're already different. You've stayed. You've listened. You've reflected. That, in itself, tells me you are not giving up on this life. Not yet, and not quietly. But let me ask you, what will you do next? Will you go back to your routine, unchanged? Or will you take one idea, just one, from this video and act on it? Will you check your medications this evening and ask your doctor at your next visit, is anything here making me dizzy? Will you place a soft light in your hallway tonight before bed? Will you add an extra serving of greens to your plate tomorrow? Will you pick up the phone and call someone, just to say, I'm thinking of you? Will you place your hand on your chest each morning and say, thank you, heart, for still beating? Because I promise you this, when you begin to care for your life, gently, daily, consistently, your life begins to care for you in return. There is a beauty in aging that no youth will ever understand. It's in the quiet confidence that comes from surviving storms. It's in the tenderness of holding a grandchild and realizing how precious time is. It's in the calm that says, I've been here before. I know how this story goes. But here's the secret the world often forgets to tell us. This story doesn't have to end the way most people expect. You don't have to slowly fade. You don't have to fall apart piece by piece. You can choose to adapt, to nourish, to stretch, to remember, to defend. And by doing so, you don't just extend your life. You enrich it. You get more sunrises, more shared meals, more laughter, more music, more hugs, more stories. And let's be honest, Aren't those the things that make a life full? Now, before we part, I want to ask one final favor of you. If this video has meant something to you, if it's opened your eyes or stirred your heart, please click like. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And most importantly, share it. This is how we build a community of elders who live not in fear of the end, but in honor of what remains. Your years are not a burden. They're a blessing. You've earned every wrinkle, every laugh line, every scar. And now, you have the right and the responsibility to protect what time you have left. So here's what I wish for you. May your heart beat strong. May your steps stay steady. May your breath remain deep and easy. May your memories hold firm. And may you walk through each day not as someone growing old, but as someone growing wiser. Because you are. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you'll stay. We've got more to talk about in the videos ahead. And until then, take care of yourself. You are more precious than you know.